pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, members.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Trustee Trombley. Here. Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Garrett.
Here.
Okay, I entertain a motion to suspend the normal schedule and proceed with the organizational meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Amy, second. Second, Kim. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, proceed with the organizational meeting.
We need to do the oath to Amy and Tom.
See?
Okay.
Normally have to take their oath. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand.
Before I sign?
I, Amy Garrett, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee for 2 years according to the best of my ability. I will.
Some photographs. Okay.
I
I, Thomas Trombley,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee for 2 years according to the best of my ability.
I will.
Congratulations. Welcome back.
Okay, I'll now read my mayor's appointments. If there's anyone has any question on any one of them, we can deal with them individually, but I'm just going to read them as a group. If they're all approved, everybody agrees with them, then we'll just move on to that as one motion. Appointments are as follows. David Marshall, village attorney, for a term of 1 year, expiring April 4th, 2011. They had a retainer set by the annual budget appropriation. There was a little, one question on this. I think we were doing this in error. The clerk treasurer term is normally 2 years unless we have a village ordinance or law to the contrary. So we had been doing 1 year, but we should have been doing 2. Checked on this with Mike on, and so that would be the only change there. That'd be a 2-year term instead of a 1-year term. I know it says on the sheet.
It's only 1 year, I didn't change it.
Okay, we need to change that to 2. Okay, Juanita Munoz, be and hereby appointed clerk treasurer for a term of 2 years expiring April 4th. That date will probably change, 2012. At a salary set by annual budget appropriation.
So will that, I'm sorry, will that mean that she doesn't get a pay increase next year?
That's up to the board.
Well, no, I mean, because that says that salary we're agreeing upon, so I don't want her to be penalized.
Right, but
It's set by annual
Okay.
budget.
Okay. Sorry.
Donna Barcombe, appointed deputy clerk for the village of Champlain for a term expiring, 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011. And a salary set by the annual budget appropriation. And Larry Sorrell be and hereby is appointed superintendent of public works for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011. And a salary set by annual budget appropriation. Michael Tatro Jr. be appointed fire and building codes zoning enforcement officer for a term of 1 year. Expiring April 4th, 2011, at a salary set by annual budget appropriation. Juanita Munoz be hereby appointed records access manager, for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011, at no salary. That one can stay at 1 year, is that 2 years also? Okay, have no one yet for the planning board. Janet McFedrich be hereby appointed to the planning board.
You forgot vital
Vital
statistics.
statistics.
Donna Barkle be hereby appointed Registrar of Vital Statistics for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011 at the salary set by annual budget appropriation. As I earlier stated, nobody for planning board. Janet McFedrich be hereby appointed to the planning board for a term of 5 years expiring April 6th, 2015 at no salary. And
I'm not sure if you wanted.
I have, has everybody been copied with the committee appointments I have? It should be,
There's changes or no?
there's no changes, so if,
Okay.
No, I only gave you that copy, Joe,
Oh,
for your
okay.
information. Everybody,
We all know what we do if you're not changing it.
Yeah. so
not
that's
changing
what I'm
it,
asking.
free copy and put it in everybody's box.
probably, if you haven't seen it, I don't know if I should read it.
Go ahead, take 2
I'll-
seconds.
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Deputy Mayor Amy Gehrig, Water and Sewer Commissioner Greg Martin, Deputy Commissioner Tom Trombley, Street Commissioner Kim Trombley, Deputy Commissioner Greg Martin, Equipment Tool Commissioner Greg Martin, Deputy Commissioner Amy Gehrig, Building Property Commissioner Kim Trombley, Deputy Commissioner Greg Martin, Parks and Recreation Commissioner Amy Gehrig, Deputy Commissioner Tom Trombley, Personnel Commissioner Amy Gehrig, Deputy Commissioner Kim Trombley, Harassment Committee Member Greg Martin, and Harassment Committee Member Kim Trombley, Shared Services Commissioner Greg Martin, Deputy Commissioner Tom Trombley, Insurance Commissioner Greg Martin, Planning Board Liaison Tom Trombley, Zoning Board Liaison Kim Trombley, Fire Department Liaison Tom Trombley, Chairperson of Zoning Board of Appeals Clark Hurdick, Vice Chairman is vacant. Chairperson of Planning Board Jack Dawson, Vice Chairperson Janet McFredrich, Budget Officer Jeff Moore, Recreation Committee Amy Gehrig, Town of Champlain IDA members Jeff Moore and Tom Trombley. Someone like to make a motion to approve the mayor's appointments? Second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Appointments are approved. Now we have the board appointments. I'll let you read that one.
Take a breath.
It was moved by, seconded by and carried that the following board appointments be and are hereby made. We have Marie Dupie.
That should have, you didn't get copies with that?
I have that.
Okay,
Jack has the
I didn't,
appointments. Yeah, I don't-
yeah,
we don't have
I
the
didn't copy
appointments.
anybody else with it, so.
Okay.
It's the original for you.
Okay, we have Marie Dupie and Geraldine Hayes B. and are hereby appointed inspectors of election for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011 at the salary set by annual budget appropriation with Marie Dupie as chairperson. Richard Fillion B. and is hereby appointed village historian for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011 at no salary. Tamara Kelsey B. and is hereby appointed Village of Champlain Youth Commissioner for a term of 1 year expiring April 4th, 2011 at the salary set by annual budget appropriation. Larry Sorrell B. and is hereby appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term of 5 years expiring April 6th, 2015 at no salary. And there is a vacancy on the Zoning Board.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Appointments are approved.
Can we keep going?
Yeah.
It's the board designations. That the second Monday night of each month be and is hereby designated as the official meeting night of the village board during the year April 5th, 2010 through April 4th, 2011, and the time be at 6:30 at the village office, 1104 Route 9, Main Street, Champlain, New York. Further, a copy of said resolution be forwarded to the news media and others having an interest in said meetings and requesting copies thereof. Hereby officially notifying the public as required by law and in meeting the obligations of the Freedom of Information Act. Also, that said meeting dates be postponed and be posted in one conspicuous place in the village as required by law.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
That the second Wednesday night of each month be and is hereby designated as the official meeting night of the Zoning Board of Appeals during the year April 5th, 2010 through April 4th, 2011, and the time be at 5 o'clock at the village office, 1104 Route 9, Main Street, Champlain, New York. Also, that said meeting dates be posted in one conspicuous place in the village as required by law.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, Tom. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Okay. Carried that TD Bank, Shazy Branch Office, Key Bank of New York, NA, Champlain Branch Office, Manhattan Bank, New York, New York, Key Trust Company, Albany, New York, USDA Rural Development, Ithaca, New York, and Champlain National Bank, Champlain Branch Office be and are hereby designated the official bank depositories of village funds during the year April 5th, 2010 through April 4th, 2011.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain has determined to authorize payment in advance of audit of claims for public utility services, postage, freight, and express charges, and whereas of all such claims shall be presented at the next regular meeting of audit, and whereas the claimant and officer incurring or approving the same shall be jointly and severely liable for any amount disallowed by the Board of Trustees. Now there be resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize payment in advance of audited claims for public utility services, postage, freight, and express charges for all such claims shall be presented at the next regular meeting for audit, and the claimant and officer incurring or approving the same shall be jointly and severely liable for any amount disallowed by the Board of Trustees. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
So, motion made by Tom, approve, Tom?
To approve, yes.
Second?
Second.
Again? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain has determined to pay a fixed rate for mileage as reimbursement to officers and employees of the village who use their personal automobiles while performing their official duties on behalf of the village. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees shall approve reimbursement to such officers and employees at a rate of 50 cents per mile. This resolution will take effect immediately.
So moved.
By Tom, second? Second. Again? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Carried that the Press Republican, Plattsburgh, New York, be and is hereby designated the official newspaper of the Village of Champlain during the year April 5th, 2010 through April 4th, 2011.
So moved.
Is there an option?
We have a second?
Second.
Second, Tom. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion is carried.
Carried that the village continue its participation in and with the joint projects of the Town of Champlain Youth Commission with the County of Clinton Comprehensive Youth Program as a member of said countywide youth organization.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Tom. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Carried that the annual organizational meeting for organizing the board for the 2011-2012 fiscal year for the various appointments and committees be and is hereby scheduled for April 4th, 2011 at 6:30 at the village office, 1104 Route 9, Main Street, Champlain, New York.
So moved.
Amy? Second?
Second.
Tom? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
Should I just read that? The board next reviewed the investment policy, procurement policy, Teamsters union contract, personnel policy, and rules and procedures for public meetings, and they were all accepted as submitted.
Okay, just a note that that's the current union contract that's in effect. We haven't done this one yet. Okay. So I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, Ken. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
There being no further business to come before this meeting, same was declared adjourned at your motions.
Make a motion to adjourn at 6:47 PM.
And convene the
And
regular meeting.
convene the regular meeting at 6:48 PM.
Second.
Second, Tom, any discussion? Not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. We'll proceed with the regular meeting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Gotta wait.
We got 33 seconds still of a break. Stretch.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of March 8th.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Second. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th? Second?
One second motion.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Minutes are approved as read. Okay, now I have, I see we have Harry here today. Hey, Mr. McManus,
It's okay.
our county legislature. Later.
No glasses, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I guess it is. I just can't read anything, but aside from that, that's all right. I can drive a car now. Anyway, I did want to apologize again. I think it's been 2 months since I've been to a meeting, and it's just been very hard. As some of you know, I did tear a retina, and it's being repaired. It's coming back. It looks good, but you know, it's where we are. But I did want to make the meeting tonight, and you called it just about perfectly when I called. You said about 6:45, so. I'm sorry I wasn't here at 6:30. I had a meeting in Plattsburgh, and I also due back there for another meeting tonight, so I'm going to make this very short, okay? I have been talking to you in the past about this tobacco-free policy committee for Clinton County, and the only thing they're asking is if anybody is interested, and that's what I'm going back down for tonight, actually, which is going to make all county municipal grounds tobacco-free, if in fact it passes, and we're still not anywhere near close to that. But if I'm just offering this to all the villages and the towns, if you wanted to be included, they just ask that I tell them if somebody is coming from the villages. So if anybody's interested, there'll be I don't know that they've set the next meeting in May, but when they do, I'll email you and let you know when the meeting is. So if anybody's interested in that. And, you know, I think it's time to discuss the issue. Whether or not we come up with a uniform policy is a separate thing. Did you hear anything from the Homeland Security monies issue on that, Jeff, in terms of that meeting we had from, as far as the cameras went and so on for your
We haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
We did research it,
Yeah.
and I believe that Sheriff Favreau was supposed to get back to us on that. I haven't seen any correspondence on that, have we?
Yeah, Larry, actually, the lady, I believe from, was it Wells?
Wells Communication came up.
Called Larry, and then she came up
Through
and,
a survey.
right.
Okay,
she
so
went
we've
all
got
the
through
lines.
step one then. I'm
Right.
just trying to follow through here and make sure that it doesn't get lost, and if we can get some, I don't know about the fencing, but if we can get the security cameras, and I think it's something we should have.
I'm pretty sure we got a quote for fencing too. if I'm
Yes,
not
we
mistaken.
did.
Yeah.
We had to give them a quote.
Yeah.
Whether or not we're able to do both is still up in the air, whether one may come out of this year's funding and then the other may come out of next year's funding, assuming that the federal government is still in business next year. Okay. I noticed you mentioned your election people. Did any of you attend that election meeting to realize how much it's going to cost per vote in the next elections it's about $4 a vote that it's going to cost the village of Champlain, and that includes primaries. I don't know how much you budgeted, but they have to buy now. This is thanks to 2000 Florida. It's a federal mandate now that these ballots have to be ordered, and everybody has to have one. So they have to. So the latest figure is about $4. So I don't know that. Have you budgeted monies for that coming up in the?
In the new year, yeah.
Yes, you have.
Oh, not as far as that, no.
Okay.
We do our
Is
regular
this-
budget. Yeah, we don't go through the county for our elections, though. We do our own. Does
I know
matter?
that, but we're talking about, there's a charge back to the villages and the towns. So, I don't know whether that's going to be applicable here or not. Maybe not to the village, I'm not sure. But I didn't know whether you'd even attended any of the meetings on it
No.
because the town supervisor's curious, and I don't blame him. It's $4 a vote, it's $4 a vote. And especially if you run primaries, yes.
So for the general elections you're talking about?
Yeah, right, not the village elections, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
No.
just those who vote
So-
or all eligible voters?
Well, they have
Charged?
to order, the problem is they have to order ballots for
For
every
everybody,
eligible
right.
voter. So if the average number of people vote in what's been the traditional last, I think they went back the last 4 congressional elections, it's going to turn out to be about $4 a vote that it's going to cost the towns. I'm not sure whether the towns are going to, bill that back. I wasn't given that information, so I don't know the answer to
No.
that. But I'll find out. But I
Yeah.
it's kind of a heads up because it's certainly, the county's looking at trying to do something for the first year, potentially as it eases in, but that's expensive. I mean, it could cost the town as much as $10,000. Okay. The other thing that I did want to discuss briefly, and Greg and I had a rather long conversation on the phone about it, but you've read an awful lot about Cape Air and Colgan Air in the paper and so on, and there are a lot of reasons why I voted the way I did, and I think that one of the biggest ones comes down to looking in the crystal ball when you see what's going on in the state of New York. And this is something I didn't know until I did some background research. Clinton County gets $4.50 for every person who books a flight out of Plattsburgh. Okay, now we're up to 70,000, so that's $325,000 a year. So if you're just looking at the size of the plane, and I know there are safety concerns, and we've talked about those, you read about those, but we were very happy with Cape Air. And some of you have flown on Cape Air and are very pleased with the service. You may know some of your constituents that are too. And frankly, we went to them first and said, can you give us a bigger plane? We want to stay with you. And they have bigger planes. They chose not to do that. So that was their choice. But using that yardstick and thinking about revenues coming in to Clinton County, and yes, some of them will be from Canada. Many of them will be from Canada. But it's still $4.50. What chance do you have if you have an 8-passenger plane and you're booking 4 people versus a 35-passenger plane in terms of where do you see future growth? And, I think there's tremendous potential there, especially when Colgan Air is going to market up in Canada $50,000 a year, and the Chamber of Commerce is going to add another $50,000. So we get $100,000 of marketing up there too. So I got a number of phone calls from people who thought that there didn't seem to be any response out there in the newspaper relative to why the county picked Colgan Air. And I was going to write a letter to the editor, and I decided that the best venue that I thought we could have would be to come to, and I made a presentation in Rouse's Point, and I'm making one tonight, brief, and I'm going to do the same thing in the 2 towns. But, I hope we're right. I mean, I believe we are. I did feel that the safety concerns, and yes, Colgan Air had a crash, there's no question. Cape Air had one 5 years ago, and also had a plane run off the runway about 7 months ago. So those things potentially do happen. I don't discount that, but I also think that looking at it, and with all due respect to the one pilot that's on the Cape Air plane, I felt that having 2 pilots on the Colgan airplane something could happen to an individual who's flying an airplane. Nobody there is going to be able to help, whereas if you have two people flying, it certainly is an advantage. So, in any event, I just wanted to I'd be happy to answer any other questions on that issue. We have, as you probably read in the paper, Cogan Air was appointed by the federal government as our essential air service carrier, and we're going to see what happens. If that 70,000, if you can just picture that 70,000 employments for the last year going up to even 90,000 or 100,000, we're talking about considerable revenues in the county, and I think this is going to be a devastating year for Clinton County. I don't know how you guys are preparing for your budget, but the state of New York doesn't have any money, and they're not changing any of the mandates, and so we're going to be forced to do all the things that we've normally done. Now, for us, it's social services, and that's where the problem is. I sat at a meeting tonight, earlier on personnel and the number of backfills that we're required to do, and WIC programs, and they're important, and you want to keep them, but they cost money, and you have to continuously monitor those things, and it's just, I don't know, we may get to a position where we have to do a temporary freeze, and of course what happens is the federal government kicks back to the state kicks back to the county kicks back to the town, and you guys are at the end of the food chain. And unfortunately, if that happens, because nobody wants to be unpopular, then that could be a potential issue for you guys. So I thought I'd pass that along. There is one thing, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know whether you remember, but last year I had proposed legislation to give firefighters a 10% break on their taxes, and it got log-jammed at the state of New York and never got anywhere. Well, it's getting somewhere now, and it's going to pass. It has an assembly number, it has a Senate number, it's going to pass. Now, all we can do, of course, is deal with the 10% figure for the county. And so, and I don't know how many firefighters would be applicable inside the village of Champlain, but you would, of course, if you choose to, have to pass legislation supporting that, much like you do. Now, you do the veterans or you do not? You do not do the veterans, okay. So that would be totally up to you as to whether you do that. It's just that, for the firefighters to realize any kind of real savings, we would have to get all the taxing jurisdictions. The county is relatively inexpensive at about $6 a thousand. So so I would be encouraging you to look at that and so on. But hopefully it will pass, and hopefully you guys will take a look at that. The last thing I have, and Jeff and I have been going to the Pfizer meetings, and they're over very quickly. The one statistic, Jeff, and I didn't know whether you thought about this at all, but when I was sitting there listening to people who were leaving the area, you've seen, I don't know about in Champlain, I think there is 14, is that the number, 12 families?
It was something like that.
Whether or not you're seeing for sale signs or whatever, in Ross's Point, I think it's 22. And, I'm wondering how many people are indigenous to the area versus people who came in with the wave in the last 5 years. And I would define that as being here at least, say, 10 years. So that, are we losing people who came with Wyeth maybe 5-10 years ago? Are those the people that are now leaving and going with Pfizer, going elsewhere, moving out of the area? Or are we losing people that are even second generation Wyeth, and so on? And I thought I was going I was thinking about bringing that up on Wednesday, whether or not I'd just be interested in knowing, because it does make a difference. If they come in and they leave, well, that's one issue. If there are families that are here, and I know of a couple in Rouse's Point who are second and even third generation in Wyeth that their houses are for sale. I don't know whether they're going to be leaving the area now, but that's really where you run into, in my opinion, severe problems, because we don't have anything to offer them. The average price, I think, salary was in the low 60s. I mean, where are you going to find employment that's going to be half of that, or even 2/3 of that? You're not. And so, and if it's a younger family, and so on, I just don't know. But in any event, it has been interesting going. So I am due in Plattsburgh soon, so I'm not going to stay for the whole meeting if that's okay. But are there any questions or anything? Yes, sir.
Yes, the Clinton County Health Department.
Yes.
What are they smoking these days?
Uh,
This youth program new requirement labeling us as a summer camp. I mean, they're gonna shut down what little we have
They-
for our
they-
kids.
We got them to back off.
Wonderful, thank you.
That was a simple phone call. I sat there and looked at that piece, and I couldn't, did we get notification on that or not?
No, I
No.
had
Oh.
this and I'm just like.
Oh, because, yes, that actually came up, and it was and there were a host of potential exemptions, but the fact that it would be something that had been working for 25 years,
Exactly.
and then all of a sudden requiring administrative monies be spent instead of money spent on children, it just, well, the person there was, they have decided that in fact what's working is not broken, and
Good, and they now have a smoking ban there?
yes, I believe. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does the county have assurances from Colgan Air that they're going to maintain the flight structure and the cost parameters somewhat comparable to Cape Air?
Yeah, the only way that they can increase, the only thing they would not give us assurances on is if the cost of air fuel, if fuel goes sky high. That they gave us parameters of $75, which is the current cost of Cape Air, up to a potential of $125, but but they would justify it not based upon any other factor except for fuel costs.
Is that with 2 or 3 flights a day from Plattsburgh?
That is with 3 flights a day, but remember, one of them, if you saw in the paper, one of them is on their own. They're not getting EAS money for it. So they're hoping that, but I think they're going to give it at least a year to be able to see if it's worthwhile running that 3rd flight. That is an issue in terms of, now, Cape Air is running 3 now and had proposed a potential 4th flight in their proposal. But, and the other thing is that instantaneously we do get a hookup with US Air out of Boston. So you can actually book a flight now from Plattsburgh anywhere in the country. Cape Air had promised that with JetBlue, but you were unable to do
It
it.
never
So
materialized.
that's right. That never happened, and so that was another factor. But that was one of the reasons that one of the legislators voted no. He was not happy with a finite guarantee. But as I listened to it, I was thinking to myself, based upon what we know now, he would say yes, it will remain at $75. But when you look at the potential cost of an international incident or something with airline fuel, but it's not going to go exponentially higher, but it could go higher based upon it.
When does the official transition take place?
It's supposed to be within,
I know they said 60 days.
yeah, I think it's going to be probably mid-May to the end of May will be the transition. But anybody that books flights, everyone can call me who had a flight and wondered, and they'll be transferred over to
Colgan Air.
Yeah, Colgan Air will pick them all up. So we'll have, obviously, with a larger plane, no problem doing it.
Okay. My final question
Yes.
for you is, I had the opportunity to go down to the Plattsburgh Air Force, or Plattsburgh Air Base here, airport, a couple weeks ago. The parking there is atrocious. Is something being done to address the short-term, long-term parking? And I know the county is reluctant to charge
We are.
even a nominal fee to park there for 6 months or 3 months or 2 months or whatever. But I drove around that parking lot around and around and around and around before I even found a space to park. And I was only going to be there for 15 minutes.
We do have plans to expand the parking area. I would say to you that they will be charging at some point for parking, but I think we're looking at trying to get the employments up significantly. We feel that's part of the draw, especially for Montreal.
But the cars are sitting there for months on end.
I know.
I mean, we're not
Well,
increasing the number of people coming in and out of that airport because
I know. And I think it's an issue that comes up every year, and I don't think it's an issue that's going to go away. But I think right now, the prevailing wisdom is we're starting with a new airline. Let's see where the employments go. I would like to see a situation ultimately like they have in Burlington, which would be, there'd be a fee. The problem is the people that are, I'm not talking about you now, but the people that are proposing this see it as a 100% profit. You have to have people out there policing it. You have to have somebody to collect the money. I mean, it isn't just, okay, everybody pays $10 a day and that's profit. It doesn't work that way.
No, I
And so,
understand.
but I do think it will come. I just don't know at what point. And if this, no pun intended, takes off like we hope it does, then I think you'll see it sooner rather than later. As far as the issue, we had a gentleman the other day that came back. He'd been gone for 2 months, couldn't find his car. We had to go out there. I mean, they went up and down because there's so many cars parked there. They had to go up and down with his little beeper and drive him all over the place. He was almost in tears. He'd forgotten total. It was way at the far end of the parking area. So it is an issue, and I think it's one that we're now addressing. I just got out of the meeting I just got out of dealt with more security issues. We do have some security issues down there as a port of entry in terms of the system and TSA, and we just had to hire some more people. You just sit there and you go, oh my God. But you know, the federal government wants what it wants, and it wants extra security people paid for by the county, and they have the right to fine us if we don't do it. So we're sitting there saying we don't want to hire anybody else, but TSA is saying we have to do it. So, but I do think we will be, and there are plans to expand that parking area, to answer your question.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Again.
You all.
Appreciate your
Thank
presence.
you.
Good luck.
Hi.
Okay, at this time, a motion to suspend the regular meeting and move right to the budget hearing. And we'll wait.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll now proceed with the budget hearing. We all had a chance to read this at great length. I'll just go over the highlights. The general budget went from 485 to 497,680, which is a change of $12,195, or approximately 2.5%. The water went from this is the expenses, as I said, it was the revenues. The expenses for water budget went from 217,060 to 211,000, a decrease of 6,000. Unfortunately, we experienced a decrease in revenues, so that ends up coming out even as far as rate increases. The wastewater budget went from $421,560 to $375,825, $45,000 decrease. But due to the loss of revenue there, that's going to amount to an increase. The increases for the general tax rate are going to be 2.8%, which amounts to 9 cents per thousand. The water rate is going to remain stable at $2.98 per thousand gallons. And the wastewater rate is going to go from $4.44 to $6 per thousand, an increase of $1.56 per thousand. And unfortunately, there's nothing we could do about that because of the loss of revenue from disposal of the CZ plant, as you guys know. Anybody have any comments on the budget? Okay, I guess we'll proceed to close the budget hearing. Unless any of you people have any, we all.
Make a motion to close.
Second. Tom? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, we're back to, somebody want to make a motion to go back to the
Make a
regular
motion to go
meeting?
back to regular meeting.
Second.
Tie.
Yeah.
Give that one to Greg.
No.
It's a second.
Put the blame on Tom.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried. Meeting is back in session. And we left off public comment. Is Is there any public comment at this time?
Yes, I'd like to speak to you about my,
Okay, could you identify yourself?
I'm Maureen McKinnon,
Okay.
and I have received a water bill this month for $665. It has been 5 years that they've been estimating my water, and I would like to have a reason for it being that long, when you people have already said that you have the money to fix it 4 years ago. My water meter was broke for this amount of time. The last reading on my water was an 05. And now they're hitting me with a bill like this, and it's supposed to be paid in 1 month. I would like to know what we can do about it, because they don't accept partial payment. I can't afford this.
You came to the right place. It's a board decision what they want to do for this.
And I don't believe myself, I would think that the town is going to have to take a little of the responsibility for this mess.
Well, this is...
For the village, I'm sorry.
I'll describe one, just for your own information though, that New York State Gas and Electric did that to me. They underestimated my gas bill for over a year. I didn't pick up on it. It was probably a little bit too low. But my wife usually paid that bill, so I didn't see it. But anyway, it was a year later, they caught up, and I had to pay it because you used it. Or I used it. But I am saying that, maybe we can work something out because the water meters don't ever spin faster than the water goes through there. You use that much water.
Well, I'm not arguing the point that I might use that much water.
Okay.
What I'm arguing about is this bill.
It would be a very big inconvenience.
There is no way. I'm on a fixed income. I don't even make that much a month.
Okay.
And I can pay a little bit at a time, but I can't pay all this bill at once. And I don't think it would be fair for the village to ask me to, considering it took them 5 years to fix the meter.
Okay, and I think, did everybody, I think Greg's aware of the situation. Is everyone else? Had a
Yeah,
chance to look at that?
I'm rereading it again.
I'm not sure if everybody's prepared to act on that right away at this moment, but I think we can come up with something that would work for you. I think we probably need to talk with you individually about that.
Well, I'd also like
What would
to
work for
know
you.
why it has taken this long to fix it.
Well, I can't answer that question. I'm sure our superintendent could answer that.
Yeah, I know.
But he's not here
Yeah.
at the moment.
Very convenient. Okay.
Okay, Mrs. McKinnon, could you give us, we'll make a motion to have you not pay the bill for now, is that okay? And then we'll try to come up with a resolution with you. May need to talk with you about it to see what would work for you. We're not totally heartless here. I don't know, do you want to make a motion to...
I make a
Suspend
motion
her
to
bill
suspend
till next
Maureen
month, so we
McKinnon's
can
bill until we are able to get more facts on what you'd be able to accommodate for the payment. Till next month,
I think that'd be fair. Would that be okay for you to...
with no penalties on her behalf for the suspension.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. We'll get back to you, Mrs. McKinnon, we'll
Okay.
work this out. Do you have a home phone that we can reach you at? or-
Yes, Amy knows it. Amy's got it.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for coming.
Thank you.
Teacher wasn't here this week, this month. So I guess just read, you will have to get
I
together
just
and
did not. No,
come up with something.
it's up to you. We're copied with all my notes.
Very good, yeah.
I know.
Up to date.
Right up before me.
How many more people, Donna, were hit with something like this month?
One other one, but Jeff, just discuss that one with Jeff too. And,
Yeah, actually, it's pretty good. They were out working today. We're trying to repair all the meters. The big problem with this is like you repair 20 meters. 3 months from now, there's 15, 20 meters, other meters that are inoperative. We're trying to get to the bottom of that. I think we had a total of, what was it, 80?
well, this time we had 72, but we're usually around 70 to 80.
That are broken?
Yes, and they're not that easy to fix.
It's a list right here.
I only copied
I
the
didn't get
water.
that.
One of the things that makes it
Okay.
difficult, a lot of these meters are in people's houses. If they work, obviously during working hours when we can go, they can't be available. And it's quite difficult to schedule with people sometimes to do these.
Well, I
And
think
they're
that
not
we need
all
to
in-
make an effort, because, I mean,
Oh, well, we
not
are.
once is, a note been left or whatnot.
But the other thing
Start
is they're
hacking
not
at
all
this.
in good places. Some of them are buried, they're underneath building structures.
Did we
It's
correct-
not something we can correct quickly and easily. It takes a fair amount of time for each meter.
Mhm.
And we've ordered the replacement meters, Amy, and we are gonna try to keep more on top of this. Because Donna's done an excellent job of estimating, but really we don't wanna be doing that because then you get these unpleasant situations where.
Well, when you're on a fixed income and it's like you're faced with $600, you might as well make it $1 million bill, Did we correct the situation of the pipe being put right smack dab in the middle of our yard for this? And the meter is right there in the middle of the yard instead of attached to a porch
If the
anymore?
meter pit is in the middle of the yard, that's where we're putting the meter reader.
See, a lot of those
Why would we
pits are
not run
We
a
can't-
line underground and attach it to the house again?
Because these are low voltage wires, they're like bell wires, they're not made for
Yeah, but would
underground.
you want something like that smack dab in the middle of your front yard? I
Well,
mean, it's really not anything
they
that's attractive.
had those meter pits put wherever they were put by choice. They should have been like out by the sidewalks or whatever. I didn't have anything to do with putting them in there, but they are in bad places. But if you look at like with electrical service in Rouse's Point, they put those transformers right in the middle of people's yards. I mean, that's where they end up. And that's where these meter pits are. That's where we have to put the readers. We can't put them remote from that location.
We didn't put the pits in to start with. That was
Yeah.
Hicks' trailer park put them in. That wasn't done by the village.
Now, why was the meters before attached to like their porch instead of where it was sticking up in the middle of the property?
That I don't know.
That's a question that she brought, which I thought was a very valid question. I don't know why she didn't bring it up, but
Well, the owner put them there apparently or when they were installed, and that's
because
has
visually
nothing
it
to do
really
with
is
the village. It's
disgusting.
somebody put those there. Yeah.
I wouldn't want that in the middle of my yard to have to mow around and be looking at every time you look out your front window.
But that's where they were put. I know, it's-
Well, I'm just saying, but in the past it was attached to the house, so why can't we go back to doing how it was? But, is there a problem with running that wire underground and attaching the
Yes,
feed
there
right to
is.
your house?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big problem because it's low voltage. You go to ground. It would go to ground and you'd never get a reading.
It would be similar to a telephone wire.
It is a telephone wire.
So I mean,
Those things are awful.
It's just bell wire. It's not weatherproof. There's waterproof wire,
Mhm.
like that gray underground feeder cable. That's not that, and that's very expensive to get underground cable. And it's very, very low voltage signal. You would have to get something, I'm sure, much bigger. Or typically, like to run something underground like that would have a lot more juice. It would justify putting a more expensive cable, but that wouldn't. That particular application.
I had a resident stop at my driveway this afternoon with a similar case to Mrs. McKinney's. He owns 2 properties up in Prospect. It's the same thing. I advised him to write a letter to the board.
Yeah, well, that would really be somebody's answer, or the answer to that. But that's private property. I don't know as we can just go there and relocate something without permission of the owner.
Right.
I believe those are renters, if I'm not mistaken.
One's a
that I
one's a
agree with,
homeowner
but it seems like
and the other's a
very
rental.
wire, the proper wire.
the telephone wire just notoriously breaks. The
It's very
trimmers
weak.
break
That's
off,
that's the big
you know.
problem we have with them, and somebody catches a lawnmower, string trimmer, whatever.
We just have to be more on top of these, fixing these things.
Right.
This 72 or 80 or 50, 10 is too many.
And that's the problem, we lose the remote reader, because the small wires, and then the meter pits themselves are not very accessible.
I think that's where a lot of the
No, I
water that
understand
we're
that,
losing.
right.
And that's the problem, because I thought that at first too. I said, well, why don't we just go read them? Well,
Mhm.
it would take many, many days to go into some of these areas. Not so bad in the summer. In the winter, it would entail like taking people skirting off the trailer and things like that. It would be problematic for sure. But anyway, yeah, we'll look into that. Okay, it's
They started repairing meters today, by the
yeah,
way.
but we're
Yeah,
we
10 or
ordered
12
them.
in the back of the truck.
Yeah, they brought me the paperwork.
Okay, I only had 2 items to report on. One is the spring pickup days, which will be held on Monday, April 19th, and Tuesday, April 20th. And that's posted here in the village office, if anybody wants to double check on that. And just a reminder that all brush no larger than 1 inch in diameter must be put in clear plastic bags. It's important that we put it in clear plastic bags, and that no garbage or other debris be put into the bags. If it's not in a clear bag, we will not pick it up. And we do not pick up any large brush, as we have to pay for it as trash at the landfill, and it's way too expensive to do anymore. Okay, the other notice is Village of Champlain will be flushing hydrants starting Monday, April 12th through Friday, April 16th. Be aware that there may be some sediments stirred up on those days, and that everyone needs to be careful with their laundry. Me too. And that's also posted here at the office.
Don't feel like that.
And that's all I had. Now report of Trustee Trombley.
The only thing that I have, I was hoping that Superintendent Sorrell would be here, was to talk a little bit about when Elm Street would be started for the summer paving. I don't know if he's gotten any quotes in yet on asphalt and anything, I've seen anything, but just looking forward to finishing that street up this year and thinking about what we're going to target for next year. So that was the only thing that I had. And welcome to our Boy Scout who's joining us. I'm assuming you're working on a badge. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Trustee Martin?
Well, I'd like to congratulate Amy and Tom on their re-election. Another 2-year term serving the village of Champlain. Thank you very much. Shared Services report has been sent back to the engineering firm for a final editing. Hopefully we will get it back within the next couple of weeks here so we can look it over. We made some suggestions as to what we were looking for and what we would like to see included in this report. The next meeting is scheduled for May 19th, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, here in the village office. As always, all are invited to attend. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Greg. Trustee Trombley?
All I have is I want to thank the voters that turned out to support myself in re-election. I want to thank them for their votes and their support.
Excellent.
And I want to know who voted for Tom and didn't vote for me, because he had one more vote than me.
I was just laughing.
Not to start an investigation.
That's right, that's right.
I saw that in the paper, I'm like, I know who did that.
It's so embarrassing.
Call Marie in here right now. Let's get Marie Doopy in here.
Oh, man. I wanted to remind everybody to fill out their census that has come in the past couple weeks. It is so easy and so quick in comparison to the nightmare that was the last one they sent to us that took hours. It's quick, it's easy, and it's very important for all of us to get an accurate count. Say again?
If you've received one.
You didn't get yours?
Yeah.
I have not received one.
I haven't
If you
either.
have
They
a
just have
post
things-
office box, you will not get one.
Everything
They will come
else-
to your
They will
home.
come to your
It
house.
was on the news tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
very interesting.
So they're gonna
And that's a
spend-
lot of people in Champlain.
Yeah, spend
And they'll
tons
be
of money.
knocking
So when they
Doors
knock on your
delivered.
door, do not give them your social security number or any of that kind of information, but just answer the questions as to who is living in your home. You mentioned about the pickup. What's very important is there is now a burn ban in place for any kind of burning until, I don't remember the date. I was hoping one of you would remember.
It's countywide,
For the
isn't it?
spring, it's
Till
for the,
May.
it's through May, but May what?
Well,
Because
in the
this
village,
is-
there's no open burning at any time.
Correct, but a lot of people listen to this that are within the town
Yeah.
limits too, but just a reminder that there is absolutely no burning right now whatsoever. Total townwide, which is unusual for us. I wanted to ask Superintendent Sorrell too about safety and reviewing the very high workers' comp summary for us. We are supposed to be doing monthly training for workers' comp, prevention of workman's comp injuries, and I don't believe he has put a training schedule in place, and we really should take a look at that, because this is a lot of money that possibly we can prevent some of this. I know that we're always going to have accidents, but we're not doing our prevention part that we should be doing to enforce that. With the budget, we did budget in for the parade again this year, correct? Or no? Was that only for the quadricentennial? That is a question that's coming.
I don't believe we did.
I thought it was just for
I
Florida.
thought it was for the club, but I'm not positive, but I don't remember.
Because I think that's something that we should take a look at,
Can continue.
going both to the town of Champlain as well, because this is a community event. And obviously the church needs assistance in doing that, or there isn't going to be a parade. So I don't foresee us doing a parade if there is no assistance, just because there is no funding
Village Trust.
available. We put money for Village Trust, so I didn't know whether that could be
$2,000
used for part of the parade. So it's something to, while you're all looking. And the health department was answered. The GPS, are we any further on giving this poor company an answer to give them back their devices, or for us just to move forward with getting, they're willing to have this, no compensation out of our pockets whatsoever, and we have a whole year worth of service that's available to us without any charge. We're just kind of sitting and
I think the problem is with installation, we have nobody here to do the installation.
no, but they'll get somebody to do the installation at their expense. There's no expense to us. It's just they're waiting for an answer from us what to do.
I hadn't really looked into that, does anybody else have any input on that, or? We put it on the agenda for next meeting, I guess. I don't really have any.
Okay, and we really should get them an answer.
Okay.
And just, it's common courtesy. They're willing to accommodate us and do whatever they can to correct the problems that they had. They've gone through a lot of research, gave us a unit. I used it around town. It picked me up everywhere I went. So they're willing to totally at their expense do that and then give us the whole year of service that we paid for and didn't get to use. So, in my opinion, it's a win-win. There's no loss on our part. We just need to say, go ahead. And I did mention last month about the bazaar. I'll mention again for those who didn't get a chance to see our meeting. We do have a new ride company coming in. We have 9 rides. It's just night and day to what we used to have, so it's going to be really exciting, really important that we get the word out there to let people know that it should be really exciting. We have a couple new games that we're going to be putting in. We're looking at a new food booth. We have a Canadian parent in our school who was going to make those, it's a specialty meat that is very famous up there that they make on 4th of July weekend. And it requires a special smoking grill. Very, 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 very popular, and he's going to run the whole thing. So it's kind of cool to have something new and different, but it's supposedly wicked delicious, and so I'm all for doing something different instead of, cold, stiff pizza. And also with the bazaar, the rides people are willing to hire local people as opposed to bringing in their workers, because the travel expense for them to bring up their crew will be pretty hefty. So if we can get locals 16 and older who are looking for a job for the 3 days, you can drop your name and phone number off here at the office, and I will forward that to the new ride company, Amy Land, and he's going to pick a day to come up and interview people. So it's a great opportunity to make some good bucks for the weekend and have fun at the same time. And that's all.
Thank you very much, Amy.
You're welcome.
Now the report from the clerk treasurer.
Everybody has their expense and revenue reports for March, through March 31st. And we also did water and sewer billing for January, February, and March. Water is $51,526.74. And sewer is $75,141.94.
Okay, thank you, Juanita. Now entertain a motion to approve the abstract.
We have one bill to Ed,
Okay.
always, for Pitney Bowes for postage. F 8310.4, $150, and G 8110.4, $150, for a total of $300.
Pitney and Bowles.
Pitney Bowes
Pitney Bowes.
postage.
Yeah. I make a motion to accept, what do you call it? Oh, warrant, with the addition of the two bills for the Pitney Bowes of $150 each, one coming out of F 8310.4, the other out of G 8110.4.
Okay, do you have a second? Second, Kim. Is there any discussion? Not, Trustee Trombley?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Trombley?
Aye.
Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. We do not have a report from the superintendent or a copy of his report, but I can proceed with correspondence. Correspondence?
Correspondence from Barbara Jarvis resigning from the zoning board. Correspondence from Clinton County Emergency Services regarding an intermediate ICS for expanding incidents I-300 course May 4th through the 6th. Census news update from the Secretary of State. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding the annual water quality report. Correspondence from United States Department of Interior regarding U.S. Geology Survey to sample well number 2 and results. Correspondence from Chris Tremblay thanking the mayor and the village board for their resolution for a Citizen of the Year award. Correspondence from Joe Heath regarding the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Point Fair. Liquor license renewal from American Legion Post 767. Correspondence from Marie McKinnon regarding meeting with the board. Correspondence from Clinton County Highway Department regarding road striping services for 2010. Correspondence and email from Linda Fredette, Youth Program Director regarding summer youth programs. Correspondence to Elegance Coating regarding industrial use approved by the zoning board. Correspondence from Clinton County Highway Department regarding contract to supply and deliver road salt. Correspondence from the Gorman Group regarding seminar on pavement preservation. Letter to Clinton County Highway Department reconfirming road salt requirements 2010-2011.
Thank you, Juanita. Old business, no new old business to report, other than that we have decided we're going to put that the GSA meter at the village limits. at our first available chance, and the weather gets nice. We don't have to build another meter pit, but that's, in lieu of all we found out, I think that's the most logical explanation for that. Greg's been very involved with that also. Under new business,
Oh, can I ask?
Yes.
Are we billing that at our expense?
yes, that's gonna be our money, our needed pit, yes.
And what is that gonna run us? Do you have any idea?
I don't think it'll be overly expensive, because we can dig the hole ourselves. We'll have to buy some concrete, either a pour concrete, or maybe we can buy something already precast. But that's pretty common item, so it shouldn't be a lot. We already have the meter, we've already bought the
Right.
meter. So that would have been our biggest expense, with the meter, I believe.
Okay.
So that's the next step. But it's a lot better location for us, really, to have it there, so. Does anyone else have any other old business? If not, under new business, we need to approve I'm trying to remember how you're supposed to say that. Is that 2010, 2011, or is it 2011, 2010, 2011? That's the proper way to
I think either way works.
Either
Okay, well, anyway, we need a motion to approve
2010,
the
11 sounds better.
Yeah.
2010, 2011 budget.
Make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve the 2010, 2011 budget.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Amy. Is there any discussion? Not trustee Champlain,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Champlain,
Aye.
trustee Gary,
Aye.
and Mayor Moore, aye. Let me have myself here. I just need a brief executive session to explain where Kim and I are at on negotiations. So I'd like to make a motion to do an executive session, and hopefully we keep it pretty short.
Second?
Second, Amy.
Know that new business happens.
Oh, yes, we can.
Yeah, at this point, don't hang around, because we talk, then we just come back in and we say, we're gonna go.
Yeah, you've seen them.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
Any
coming.
questions, call me. Okay?
Thanks for coming. You have to,
Oh.
a second, you have a second?
Oh, we did.
Wait, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Please go for it.